Day 16 started by drinking some ginger ale to fix my hunger issue. Then I placed the trauma bag upstairs on the table to the left from the cabinet and cut down 3 belts to have some spare bandages on me. Now that the worst is behind, I deposited my adhesive bandages back in the bathroom cabinet. Finally, I deposited my spare batteries in the small backpack I left close to the trauma bag. And after closing my upstairs doors, I went downstairs to do some more loot reorganization. Once I was happy with it, I went to my almost broken dot and removed its radio, to be dismantled later, and took its battery for my flashlight before adding it to the electronics pile. After moving the batteries from the small backpack to the bed drawer, it was time to hit the road. Plus, it was finally time to take again the truck with me. I had to stop before reaching the road, where I noticed a Zed. It took 5 hatchet hits to kill him. After that, I approached the next near the fence. He hopped over and only then noticed that I was waiting. Took him a few seconds to take courage and beg for mercy on my feet. But the only mercy I've left is death, and show the same to the next. Those 2 had some useful staff, including a disposable lighter. While checking my surroundings, another one tried to go for a surprise attack. So I pushed him down and finished with my axe. While looting, 2 more went to the fence and another one approached me from behind. I pushed the last one, avoided the grab attack and killed the fence lovers. Then attacked the body of the first with my axe only to finish him with a headshot. 3 more joined the fight. I dealt with the first 2 closer to me, jumped over the fence to allow the other one to do the same and killed them with my axe. Time to go back to the road and 2 more emerged from the trees. I went for the one on the road by pushing him down and finishing with my weapon. The other 2 were too fast on getting up, so I had to separate them from another one that was approaching the fence. Behind the fence corner, I pushed them down and hit them alternatively with the axe until both were dead. Seconds after the other one came to die the same way. From this fight I got a belt and a carving fork. Then I went back to the white car only to find out 2 more Zeds. I pushed down the first and had to try to do the same with the second. But a new one climbed over the fence and was able to push me away. I reacted at the last instant and stopped the one that went for a bite. To separate them, I run around the car back to the fence corner. The plan was working, but the first 2 was too close. So once the first was chasing me, I guided him on the other side of the road and went for a kill. The rest walked at the same speed, so I had to force the next to chase me. This allowed me to kill him safely. The same way I aggroed the next, and after finishing him, went for the third. But had to run away to avoid a new fast one that tried to outflank me. On the other side of the road, I pushed him and the next one down before finishing both in time, to notice more to the left. After pushing away the closest, I retreated a little bit and then dropped 2 of them on top of each other. I was able to kill the first on the ground, but my positioning was bad, so I missed my shots, allowing the other one to get back on his feet. Despite this, I still was able to kill him before the next was on me. After defeating this last one, I finally had some time to loot. Between the usual stuff, I even found a beer. Once I got the loot, a new group was approaching. I was able to push down and kill the first in time before I had to fight the second. He was a stubborn one and refused to fall. This also made me out of breath, so I moved away to avoid being overwhelmed. A few steps after I pushed them both down, alternating hits and stomps, it was easy to deal with the troublemakers, while preventing that any was able to stand up. After that, I noticed in front of my truck a terrified Zed admiring the carnage. Furious, he tried to kill me, but I smashed his head to smithereens, seconds after I had to deal the same to the one joining from the west. Time to loot some earbuds and matches, that another one tried to sneak behind me. I had to push him down and finish with a few stomps. I stopped to use my axe, because when out of breath its damage is reduced and I don't want to waste my whole hatchet durability killing only one. To restore my fighting capabilities, after looting the rest, I went back to my living room and sat on my first floor chair in order to read the Angler magazine. Once done, I deposited my new electronic devices and the beer, then went back in my truck to drive along the main road till the first house. While trying to reach that house, I found a Zed blocking my way. To save energy, I guided him back to the road, and once he climbed over the fence, I one-shoted him with my trusty axe. After taking his belt, watch and boots, I approached the house window from where I was hearing zombie noises. This allowed to find two that were doing some Michael Jackson moves. So I left them to it, went to the trash can, and after removing its contents, picked it up. After that, I finally decided to guide the two dancers outside of the house, and once they were on the ground, I finished them with the axe. After looting a belt from one of them, I went inside the house and picked up the television to be dismantled later and took the CDs in the box to the left. Next, from the kitchen cupboard, I obtained a carving fork and a bottle opener. While from the bedroom cupboards, a t-shirt and some electronic devices. After that, I went back to my car and deposited all the loot in the trunk. Then, after hopping the fence, I was ambushed by a Zed hiding in the trees. I sprinted away to avoid his attack, turned around and dealt with him swiftly. Later, from behind the house appeared another enemy to defeat. Once looted his watch, I looked again toward the next house, and from nowhere a group of 5 appeared. After gaining the attention of 3, I went inside the house, closed the door, and dealt with 2 that climbed through the window. The third was banging on the door. This is why I went to the kitchen window and removed its glass shards. This allowed me to safely leave the building, only to fight the last one outside. Killing this one with the axe gave me the first level with that weapon. Plus, I noticed that I already have some muscle strains despite I was only killing Zeds that were on the ground. By the way, I decided for this fighting style in order to minimize the muscle strain buildup and save some weapon durability in the process. Anyway, once I heard a zombie behind, I turned around and dealt with that annoyance near the entrance. Then went back to the main road and killed a Zed between the trees. This allowed to find a new belt to add to my collection. After checking the surroundings, I moved the truck closer to the next 2 houses. Time to exit it, and a new enemy was chasing me from the south. To avoid aggro the horde behind him, I waited until he reaches me and finished him. After that, I carefully approached the group, and once I got 3 on me, I strafed backwards to avoid more trouble. They were too close, and once the first started chasing me, I moved back a little bit more. Seconds after, I tried to push down one on top of the other, the first 2, and tried to stand on both while dealing with the third. But after failing, one got up and I pushed him away in time to avoid his grab. I was able to make both of them fall, but had no time to kill them before the last one was on his feet. I was using too much stamina and the heavy rain wasn't helping, so I moved to the fence in order to finish them there. This strategy worked better considering that I one-shotted all 3 of them. Finally, I went back to face the rest of their team. Once one of them was on me, I backed down. This allowed to deal with him and take his belt without the second noticing it. Seconds after, I finished that one as well and took his belt and boots. Checking the house nearby, I didn't find anything of use, so I got in my truck and moved it closer to the accident location. This attracted the attention of an enemy on the other side of the fence. To avoid having corpses on the road, that is dangerous, I waited for him to reach me on the grass before dealing with the problem. But the noise made more starting emerging from behind the accident scene. Immediately after killing the fast one, I turned around because of the growling and found a new one to kill nearby. Time I was done, the next victim asked for a brain surgery. After zooming out, all around me I saw a lot of movement. This is why, while backing down, I moved to the west. This allowed me to aggro a loner, incoming from that direction. But once I saw a fast one running toward my location from the south, I retreated a little bit more before killing him. Then finally I dealt with the lone wolf as well. Time to finish looting, I had to get rid of one slowly approaching from the north and one from the west. This last one had some beta blockers, considering that in Build 42 Panic hugely impacts firearm aiming. I will need a lot of those when I will start shooting some brains. After that, I had to defeat a lady with a cool summer hat, followed by another dude that sneaked behind me while I was trying to loot. At this point, I decided to zoom out to see who is left. This allowed me to find the slow one to the left. Killing him attracted another one from the fence gang. I patiently waited for him on the grass area, and once he died, I took his watch. He won't need it anymore. To force the other two from his group to chase me, I had to hope over the fence. Then went back to kill them easy using the classical trick. Later, I had to hop the fence and had to touch the deaf one in order to distract him from the worm hunt, so he could try to catch a bigger prey. But the hunter became the hunted. Not even his friend was able to save him from his fate. Seconds after, another victim came to the fence massacre only to join the rest. The same way, another one failed his hunting test. After looting them for any useful stuff, I reversed my truck until it was close to the ambulance. Then after attaching it to my car, I started to drag it. In the hopes to find a mechanical level 1 skill book soon, I decided to bring it all the way to my base, so I could have a wrecked car to use in order to level up that skill. But once on top of the grass, my car showed not enough power to drag it further. For this reason, I started to use the old trick of backing up, accelerating as much as I can, and use momentum to drag a little bit more further the towed vehicle. Halfway to the base, I have to leave the truck and deal with a Z approaching from the north. Once I reached the parking lot, it was time to turn. As a truck driver in real life, I knew that if I did it too early, I would hit the trees. My calculations was perfect, and I was able to bring the ambulance to my backyard without incidents. Then I detached it from my truck and started to turn around. But I had to stop and deal with a new enemy that was approaching. Despite the small annoyance, I didn't mind it considering he had a beer to share. I had no time to enter my car that another two came from behind. Once back outside, I was able to easily push them to the ground and finish the first. But because of dark and the heavy storm, I mispositioned on top of the other and had to struggle a little bit more before I can rid of him. This gave the time for another one to join the fight. But this time he was easy to kill considering it took one push and a weapon swing. While looting, I heard another one coming from my base entrance, and to avoid to litter my improvised parking lot, I lured him near his friends before dealing with this nuisance. Again, I just entered the car and heard another one to deal with. So I had to give him the same treatment as to the previous victim. Finally, I was able to move my truck to the entrance, and this time didn't park it properly because I heard more incoming. Time to retreat to the gazebo that the two were near my truck, while once they were close to me, a third one exited my base front door. After separating the fast one, I pushed them on the ground and finished the first. Then, while pushing the last one, I positioned myself on top of the second to prevent him from getting up. Once the last was on the ground, I finished both with my hatchet. I had no time to get inside that a new one was chasing me from the west. Finally, after dealing with him, I heard no more noise. So I went upstairs, opened my beer and drank it as reward for my good job today. Immediately after, I went to sleep, so I could keep fighting with new forces tomorrow.